of owning a cafe and other heroic deeds by Beware the Tistero. Chapter 70, Planning for the Future. Watching the tots take their t-shirts had been one thing. Wow! This is so cool, Shoni! Thank you! But to watch Toshinori get actually choked up at the sight of the kids pulling their selective items, all a little oversized, true, but they'd get more wear out of them that way, he thought, overtop their elementary school polo necks had been quite another. Oh, look at you all. In fact, he'd had to focus on giving the Team Mom paraphernalia out to the two women who'd come down to the study area when he'd beckoned to Zuko, just so that weird hot feeling that the other man seemed to bring out in him every so often didn't flood his face again.
Oh, Sho-chan, what a lovely gesture. You've all said thanks, right?
He'd not needed to worry about making a scene, though. These are for you, he heard himself say, his smile perking when the local bros crowded around to see what the fuss was about when he presented them with the last paper bag. He'd have to look into making some Noroneko t-shirts at this rate, too, wouldn't he? He already had an artist lined up for the design elements, didn't he? He was sure that Hitoshi, Tomura, and Spinner would want to help, too. If they could do such a thing, it might be nice to let all the tots have a hand in creating them as well, wouldn't it?
So you little cutie, come here!
Blinking out of his thoughts, the cafe owner soon found himself sandwiched into an embrace containing a fiercely pleased and slightly tearful Mitsuki and an incredibly tearful Inko, both of them holding the novelty shirts as they squeezed him between them, his face burning wildly.
This is so thoughtful. Thank you.
You're welcome. He managed to rasp out before he was released, his form a little dazed as Hisashi and Oboro moved to steady him, and Nomori whipped out her phone to photograph the preening women who were being hugged together by Tomoko, their smiles resplendent as they held up their red and green tops to show off the white bubble writing proclaiming their status within the group. Who would have thought that just buying a few discounted pieces of clothing would lead to so much happiness? Then all of them, the teens included, poured out of the cafe to stand outside, the brightly colored parasols flapping in the light breeze behind them. The mothers had similarly pulled their t-shirts on, and because they'd insisted, Bubble Girl and Centipede took the photos. He'd been positioned in the middle, with his oldest teen on his right, with the youngest on the left. Okay, everyone get ready! Hitoshi was stood in front of him. With Izuku grinning before a snickering Tomura, and Katsuki posing coolly in front of the flame quirk user, who was finally ruffling his jagged, pale blonde spike. Big Smiles stood behind him, and to his left was Toshinori, his form towering over his unofficially official nephew, in the standard good guy pose he was famous for. With Mirai to his right, those golden eyes warm. Free! Crowding around the sides, Nomori and Hisashi dangled playfully from their senpai's arms, whilst Oboro and Tomoko posed together next to the future seer. 2. The rest of the tots lined up on either side of their friends, with Eijiro and Denki proudly leaning down from their team's boisterous leader, whilst Ochako and Tsuyu, giggling and holding hands, followed on from Izuku. 1. Mitsuki and Inko, both throwing up peace signs, had crouched down to their level at the end of each row, while Spinner, the character that he was, had laid down on his side at the center of the group, his smile beating. Say Norineko. Damn, it was nice to have such a keepsake of them all together like this, wasn't it? Norineko! Once everyone was on their way, he set about cleaning the cafe and smiled genuinely when his boys pitched in. Then the area, spick and span, they cuddled the cats and headed upstairs. Thanks to Tomoko having manned the main till for the majority of the day, when he'd gotten home, he'd been able to get the afternoon and evening stock replenished and completed the majority of his prep work for tomorrow, which meant that they could all relax together. Oh, Shoni, this all looks great. He'd also brought up the meal he had made of them and stowed it in one of their 2 kitchenette's fridges. He'd also set the kotatsu table up and made it ready for them to sit at. The plates, dishes, bowls, chopsticks, and napkins were all laid out alongside drinking glasses, with a big pitcher of lemonade set in the table center. I'm glad. He smiled at Hitoshi, his hands passing the boy a bowl of freshly mixed and dressed salad, whilst Dabi took the dish of cold yakisoba, Tomra accepting the platter of okonomiyaki, whilst he snagged the flash of hot miso from the counter, along with the pickled vegetable pats. The three of you have done me really proud today, he told them as they all moved to sit. Not that you don't make me proud every day, he added with a chuckle, all of them digging into the food as he poured miso into their cups.
Yeah, well, it's thanks to you setting everything up, you know.
The decay quirk user told him, his gloved hands eagerly accepting the soup and taking a sip with his eye.
I don't think we'd have lasted an hour even with Tomoko if it weren't for you planning ahead,
he admitted with a grin.
You really are something else.
He's a robot, I'm telling you, his oldest lodger stated, his head nodding sagely whilst his youngest chuckled. And a crazy nuzzle or good besides. However, he mused, a grin crookedly tilting his lips, I believe you're very much not a monk now, he crooned after a mouthful of noodles. Oh? He hummed, his hand grabbing the serving tongs to add a helping of salad to his plate. And how would we reach that conclusion, He grinned, his hand then reaching for the glass of lemonade the scarred male had passed to him. Well, the turquoise-eyed teen drawled, we heard a pretty interesting conversation today, he continued, whilst Tomra laughed snorted into his miso and Itoshi giggled. You want to ride all night again, huh?
Navi!
His partner sputtered, his old face eating.
Not in front of the small!
It's okay, Tomuni, the child assured, whilst sending his chopsticks out to trap the savory soba he wanted to eat. They say worse things in anime, you know, he advised with a grin. At the words, the teens shared a sharp look. It was some kind of code with protective undertones, he could tell, before turning back to him whatever discussion that they needed to have, clearly the more important topic. Blinking, his head looking from the tallest boy and down to the shortest, he wasn't quite sure really what was going on. His crimson-eyed lodger blushing so darkly was also something that he wanted to query. Am I to understand that Mirai has shared the conversation Toshinori and I were having when he jumped me all over town? What? Nami, Tomra, are you alright? Watching bewilderedly as the teens choked on their food, and Hitoshi, a devious grin stealing his features as he grabbed his phone to snap pictures, the oldest member of their unofficially official family, was about to get up and rub at their backs when both waved him off through their coughing fits. Hitoshi, don't you dare! The flame quirk user warned when he'd got his breath. Sorry, Dabini, the boy replied, his phone now placed back on the table, his smile widening. I love you, but Nebuny pays good money for such things, doesn't she?
Betrayal!
Tomra sighed.
We raised you well, apprentice,
he added whilst reaching over to ruffle the dad's hair. I learned from the best, the child acknowledged, and as he sat there watching them all, he couldn't help the swell of pride that surged through his chest. To think of them when he'd first met each child, all broken in their own way, lost, lonely, dejected, and hurt, and to see them now? Perhaps Mirai was right. Maybe it wasn't too bold or forward of him to approach his teens now. Uh-oh, you've got that look again. What are you plotting this time, Cat-Dad? Turning to his oldest lodger, his smile deepening, he let out a little sigh. I'm sorry if this is too soon, and I completely and totally understand if you said no, he began, the boys now focusing on him, their mirth dying a little. Yet he really wasn't good with such things, was he? But I've been thinking about the future a lot lately, yours in particular, he said. Oh, well, I don't really know a great deal about legal things and whatnot. He juggled his hand, reaching out to similarly ruffle the iris-haired boy's unruly locks, the kid preening under the attention. However, whilst having a look into what I can do to help Hitoshi get a head start on his career path, Mirai and I got to talking. He told him, given your current circumstances, getting the both of you onto properly accredited courses and helping you to set up bank accounts, apply for driver's license, and things you'll need when you're older may be tricky, he added as the teens blinked at him. Then a little panic flaring at him at their crestfallen looks. God damn it, Shouta, you're ruining the mood, you moron! Do something! He quickly carried on. You're both going to need authentic identification papers, right? So, after seeing if it was possible without, prying, we can apply for you to take my family name, which would mean that you wouldn't be adopted because you're both over 16, but we'd be legally kin, and you'd have the freedom to apply for and do anything you... He stopped short when Dabi nearly dropped his glass, his expression stricken, and Tomra, those disbelieving eyes misting, sucked in a deep breath. God fucking damn it! He shouldn't have brought it up. It was still too soon, wasn't it? Hey, look, it wouldn't mean anything for the pair of you romantically. He tried, his tone a little strained. Other than, if you ever did decide to get married, well, at least you wouldn't have to change names, would you? Then, in what seemed like the blink of an eye, their food forgotten, his teams were on him, their arms having wrapped around him in a fierce hug, their faces buried in his neck, both of them trembling. Oh, well, that was that decided then, wasn't it? Shinso Hitoshi considered himself to be an incredibly lucky young man, his past and its sadness notwithstanding. He'd been taken in by someone whom he loved like a parent. His mother was alive and future-oriented. He had older and slightly younger brothers and sisters. And he was doing well in school. He had goals he was looking to meet. He had people who loved him. And now he had the honor and privilege of watching Dabini and Tomuni get the same. And carefully, he snatched up his phone to record this precious moment the second he realized what was happening. At the words, "Take my family name," he had to hold his phone a little steadier, his own heart a little overcome. He and Shoni had talked about this only yesterday. Flashback to Sunday. After speaking to his mom over the desktop computer in one of their 2 living rooms, he always felt a little sad. His big brothers did everything they could to cheer him up, and going downstairs to play with the cats helped to make him feel better, but there was just something about getting to sit with Shoni in the enclosure, both of them quietly chatting about everything and nothing as they watched Dabi and Tomra play in the gaming area. The man had so kindly taken him in, who treated him like a son despite their age gap being quite small, who reminded him of his father, although the two looked nothing alike, just had a calming aura about him. Sometimes just being in his presence, watching him swiftly and quietly get on with mundane tasks, made him feel calm. Made him feel like everything was going to be all right. Especially since the man never patronized him or spoke down to him or treated him like he was just a little kid, and best of all, Shoni valued what he thought. He asked for his opinion. He never seemed hesitant to answer his questions, even though he was thoroughly aware of his quirk either. That's why when they went to sit down together, Hahui trying to snuggle into the 21-year-old's lap even before he was settled, that he not hesitated to answer the question the older man had put to him. "I think that's an amazing idea, Shoni," he said, and God, he really, really meant it. I don't think they came up with Cat Dad as a nickname for you just out of the blue, He grinned. Besides, if something really, really bad had happened to my mom, I would have loved for you to have offered me your name, He smiled. Plus, you're right. As much as I'd love for all of us to stay as we are, well, they've got their adult lives to think about, don't they? He reasoned, and I don't really know a lot about where Dabini came from, but I'm willing to bet that Tomuni doesn't want to keep that scumbag's name. If he was ever, officially given it, Back to the present. Sure, he'd not realized that Shouta would offer this gesture so soon. However, upon reflection, what better time than this? What nicer way to start a week? The rest of the evening had been so much lighter, and both Tomra and Dabi wholeheartedly accepting, they'd hugged it out, wiped at their eyes, and all balked at Itoshi when he proudly told them not to worry about how they'd get the word out. I'm pretty sure that all of the congratulations messages hitting the group chat is going to crash the social media platform in a second, Then, the night still young, he'd finally gotten around to telling them all about his date the previous evening. It was one of those 10,000 yen per plate places, I'm sure. And yeah, the food tasted great, but you've never been to a more stuck-up place in your lives. Mirai was wonderful company, and despite some dickhead he knew showing up to growl at him, it was a wonderful evening. He'd not told them about Endeavor, since he'd been in his civilian clothes and talked about private matters. Mirai had asked him not to say anything. He could understand it as a security issue. Word getting out that the number 2, appropriates, had left the country wouldn't be a good thing. He already knew, from what little he and Kenji-san were allowed to tell him, and Shigaraki, that prick, that the criminal underworld was pretty lively right now. Realizing that, begrudgingly, one of the strongest pros was no longer out and on the prowl wasn't something they wanted spreading around. Which, of course, had led to the next person trying to improve his life and give him experiences. Then, in turn, had led to some mortifying discoveries. Then, he and his oldest teen sat in his bedroom. Tomura and Hitoshi had offered to take care of the dishes. Such good kids. Dabi had sucked in a breath, tried to wipe the laughter from his face, looked him dead in the eye, and said, "You are making sexual innuendos." At first, he simply cocked his head, his mind skimming over the words and trying to make sense of them. He knew academically what innuendos were, however, since he'd never really given dating, let alone sex, much thought, he supposed it was possible. "Okay," he said thoughtfully, "such as?" Watching as his oldest lodger, soon to be ward, his mind corrected, and that thought alone made him ridiculously happy. Fought valiantly to keep a straight face, he waited for a few seconds until... "You said that you wanted to, and I quote, ride Tomura's G-san, yes?" "Yes," he replied with a slow nod. "Because that's what he was giving me. All right," he stated, his expression thoughtful. "How was I supposed to say it?" I mean, you just... "No," the younger said while shaking his head. "Remind me to buy you an urban dictionary after you put your mind back together because, well, I have a sneaking suspicion that what I'm about to say is going to shatter your brain." He upped. "When you said that to him, what was his reaction?" "Oh, well, he went red in the face," he returned. "Marai was talking to him in his earpiece and said something to embarrass him," he furthered with a little shrug. "Why?" "So, you know that I might bullshit about some things, but nothing this important, right?" "Yes," he answered honestly, although to his knowledge, Dabi had never bullshitted him about anything. "Go on." "Riding someone is another way to say having sex." "Wait, what?" No, I didn't mean that. He floundered, his neck suddenly on fire, the heat of it flushing his chest and racing towards his hairline. "Also, you know when Tomura and I choked you earlier? You did it again," he continued, the mirth he was desperately trying to cover shining through his eyes. "You said that he jumped you." "Oh, no. No. They had been jumping. Oh, fuck. He could hear it now." "And the main reason why we are sat here right now, away from Hitoshi's innocent ears, well, you were just talking about thrusting and jarring and how big he was and how your body ached." "Oh my god, that's not what I meant, and please don't say anything to anyone, and now I can never look him in the eyes again. Ah!" He rambled before throwing himself face down onto the futon, his hand scrambling for his pillow to shove it over his head. "Hey, come on, Sho, it's not that, but..." Grumbling into his cotton bedding while muttering, shut up," like a mantra, Shouta desperately tried to come up with ways to actively avoid Toshinori and the rest of mankind in general, really, while still doing his job and earning a living. Oh no, Sho, I'm not even kidding, your phone's just lit up." "No!" He's texting you right now. It's like he knows we're talking about him." "No!" Do you want me to answer for you, or..." "No!" he yelped, his form suddenly sitting up and snagging the phone that lay between them, the teen's hand playfully close to it as he burst into another fit of raucous laughter. Pouting, his eyes moving towards the device, Shouta felt his head go a little dizzy as the message flashed up on his lock screens. All right. "Thank you for another wonderful day, Shouta-kun. Have a lovely evening with your boys, and do let me know if and when you'd like to ride All Might again, won't you?"